We're live. So who wants to give the summary?
Creepy dolls. Lots of creepy dolls.
Well, we definitely ended with you plunging into the swamp and being surrounded by creepy dolls.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't do the summary.
So we started. This started the session We were in the basement, or going into the basement at the Falkirk home, and we heard as we were kind of going in, we heard like a clacking sound, and there were barrels all over the place. We were able to lift one of the barrels and found that there was a black powder in it. So we made our way to the edge of the barrels, like this barrel wall, and we thought we saw sparks. So T-Hole did the most the rational thing, and he blew all the barrels up with a thunder wave, knocking gunpowder or blasting powder all over the place. In there was a Quaggoth, and it kept trying to ignite the gunpowder or the blasting powder with a flint in hand. There was also a dead body and a bleeding but conscious gnome or halfling. Can't remember which. Halfling. So the Quaggoth, the crew started beating on it, and it almost appeared as if it were not really there. Like it kept, no matter how much we grappled it or tried to kill it, it just our attacks didn't even seem to phase it. That it was like hurting or had hurting. So we ended up killing it, and then we revived the halfling, which was Lady Amphilis. She was a member of Samus Holbein's expedition, and she was telling a story of how her and her party were captured by the Quaggoth, and then they escaped in the middle of the night from the freshwater swamps, or from the swamps, and they went through the saltwater part, which was darker, and ended up making their way here. And then they got here, they got captured. Yep. So we went back to the inn after that to collect some of the gear that they left behind. So she still had some gear there. Hellweir decapitated the Quaggoth and carried around its head as a token of victory. And we ended up mounting it in front of the inn.
With dozens and dozens and dozens of fleas.
Yes, and they all moved to Hellweir.
I hope they're infernal fleas.
And they all moved to Hellweir, and he took no notice of them. So then we, from there...
Haverford also had to deal with them as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. After that, we left to go free the rest of the captured party. So we headed towards the swamps. We encountered a hunter, Larson from Brixton, and we nursed him back to health, and he said he was going to Bogtown, and we made our way into the swamp. And it was fairly nice the first bit in, and as we started going towards the salty side and we got deeper, the swamp became more thick. So we had some torches lit, and as we started as we went deeper, we started seeing dolls. And we ended where a doll fell out of a tree behind us, and now it is crawling towards us.
That's right.
So on top of that, before we start, as T-Hole's been noodling, he noodled through the walk, and he came up with the perhaps fairly obvious guess or assumption that the Quaggoth wasn't a dumb beast because it was using tools to make fire, and it also was clearly trying to commit suicide. And that we were all fairly lucky because there was enough blasting powder to blow up the entire house. He's also started to wonder about how Lady Amphilis was able to make it 4 or 5 miles through the swamp, wounded, without a weapon, in the dark, through this muck, while being chased by Quaggoth, who would be faster moving and presumably have night vision before being caught. So he's been thinking about that, and as we would have been walking, he would have kind of been trying to whisper and get that information to you guys without her knowing.
Okay, go ahead and make me a stealth check, and I'll make her a perception check.
Yeah.
Bum bum bum.
Dang it. See, stealth check. Oh man.
Okay, you're pretty sure she didn't hear you.
Hey.
Cool.
So just so you're aware, each of the dolls appears none of them appears to be the same. They all appear to be sort of individualized. Some of them, they're all in various states of decay, and they all appear to be made of wood and just simple cloth. So the one that's attacking you right now looks like this.
Yes.
That from something?
From the internet, but
it looks like Chucky after he's been through the fire.
Oh, okay.
Or after the plastic factory, when he got real fucked up.
Oh, I thought it like meant something to you, Hawk. Like I'd rather than just
I just really enjoyed that picture.
So you have this doll that you dropped from the
rolling
tree.
initiative.
Yeah, and is crawling towards Lucia Rossi, actually. And as you look, you see other dolls that were around you in various positions around the trees are beginning to move. Make sure you click on your character before you roll your initiative.
Oh yeah.
But I can.
Guys, I don't know what's going on, but my audio keeps going in and out, so I may be refreshing quite a bit.
Oh man.
All right.
I would have taken the 20, but
Jesus.
I can give you the 20.
That's the second time I've rolled a natural 1 on a fucking initiative roll.
You just lack initiative.
Clearly.
That's something that Asheros can't.
I can't act until I have guidance from Asheros.
So sometimes the reception between you and Asheros is a little spotty.
Yeah. There's the divine static.
Divine static.
God damn it! It happened again.
Every time,
Bye.
every time a call drops, I'm gonna call it divine static now.
All right, I'm
Asherus,
done. Hold on. I'm gonna take care of this audio problem real quick. Going old school.
what happens is
Oh,
he
he's gonna
calls on
table
Asheros, and Asheros is looking at the caller ID like, do I want to answer this? Maybe he'll leave a message.
I know he keeps calling me, and he doesn't stop. You think after answering for not long enough, he would have gotten the hint.
Like I was trying to explain to someone, like a younger guy, that when I was a kid, the phone would ring and people would just answer it to figure out who was on the other end. That like never happens anymore. It's always like, well,
It's
who
the
is this?
opposite.
Yeah, who is this?
No gonna answer it.
Well, because usually at this point now, like if it's a number you don't recognize, then it's probably a junk call. And in the event that it is actually somebody that you would want to hear from, they typically leave a message.
They'll call again.
Or they'll call again. That too.
Yeah, even
It's
when
like it's
even
like
when
an
it's people you know, though, sometimes it's they'll leave a message.
True.
Yeah.
I feel like it's an unspoken rule. Like you have to call people twice. The first time proves that first time is just could be anybody. But if you call a second time, it's like, okay, that must not be a junk call. That's somebody who actually wants to talk.
Hmm.
Say you back, Mike.
Almost.
So are you like plugging in
Trying.
a microphone?
The headphones working.
So Lucia Rosie's at the bottom of the initiative
Yes.
anyway. So go ahead, T-Hole. What do you want to do?
That's a good question. T-Hole is going to, let's see, where's the doll?
This is the one that's moving towards you now.
Oh, okay. So T-Hole is going to see if I move, will that trigger an attack of opportunity?
Yes.
All right, so I'm gonna turn towards this thing and cast Burning Hands.
Okay. Is that a dexterity save?
It is. So it makes it. And that means it takes half. So is Burning Hands not going to work for me?
I don't know.
I guess it's. Oh, oops. Yeah, it was that thing where I click it and then it just. All right, so takes 6 damage.
So you say it starts to light on fire, but it is sort of half drenched in swamp water, so it seems to go out relatively quickly.
Okay. And then that will be my turn then.
Okay. Hell, weird.
Hellweir? Is he
Yep.
frozen?
He might be frozen. Yeah, it looks like he's frozen.
Just in time.
Or he's deep in thought.
I've never known Hellweir to be deep in thought.
So I will let's skip Hellweir for now. The doll is going to lash out at Lucirosi, the one in front of him, trying to crawl up you and bite.
My armor class is
18.
18, so yeah, that hits.
So it bites into you, and it is just latched on with its little teeth. Like, it doesn't bite and retreat. It bites, and it is stuck to you now, like a grapple. It's not very big, and it's not very strong, so it would probably be pretty easy to, like, pull it off. But it would be like, trying to escape a grapple. If you don't escape the grapple, it basically will just automatically hit next time. And you then see other ones begin to move in the trees around you, falling to the ground, but none of them are going to reach you this round. But it seems as if fighting this one has caused a bunch of them to move. And
My turn?
It's Lady Amphilis's turn. She's going to go first. Okay. She's going to. She has a long sword and a short sword that she picked up. She makes 2 longsword attacks against the doll that's next to her. Got a crit on
nice.
One. So it's 22 and 8.
Nice.
All right, sorry about that, guys. Fucking internet dropped for some reason. It's not even windy.
Well, the snakes are all lazy from being sent home to that concert.
Yeah, probably.
I was sleeping on my wires and stuff. God.
So she's able to bring her longsword down on it, not really connecting very hard, but her second swing connects very hard, like right into its head, slicing about halfway down to its nose. Hellware, you can go now.
Okay.
You.
So the one which is next to Lady Amphilis, is that dead?
No.
Okay. I'm gonna cut that one up. So let's. I pull out my greatsword and I just bash it. That hits. Cool. And that is what I do.
Okay, so you managed to give it another good thwack. It's looking pretty worse for wear, but it's still moving on under its own power.
So let me just check this. No, don't worry. Don't worry. All good. Yep. All right, so who's on next?
Yeah, I'm just looking for a thing. I'll use this one.
Okay.
I just wanted to put a note on the one. There's one that is now on Lucirosi trying to bite into his flesh, but it's grappled on with its little teeth. So it's Lucirosi's turn.
All right, guys, 1 second. I'm still having some technical difficulties.
No problem.
Okay, I think that might have fixed it. All right, so the one that's attached to me, I'm just going to start beating on it. So
both hit.
And then I got one more. That was thoughts and follow up with prayers.
Let's see, what's the total on the crit? 24 on the crit, I believe.
11 plus 12.
Well, it's you max out the damage, then take the first number. The second
okay.
number happens to be maxed out. It must have rolled an 8.
Okay.
So
No, I got it set to where.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So then, yeah, it's the correct number then.
So I deal
42.
Does that kill it?
Nope. It is almost completely destroyed, but still latched onto you. It is basically just like a head and torso with like one arm and both legs gone.
So the way that I picture that going on is this thing is probably latched on to like my wrist here, and so I punch it, and then I crush it against my armor, and it's still going. I'm like, ah! Get it off!
And it's back to T-Hole.
T-Hole is going to cast Detect Magic. And he's going to see, try to figure out like if these dolls are to see. Well, he's going to see what he can see.
Right. These dolls are magical. There is a magical presence about them.
Can I just deduce what the presence is, or anything about it?
Give me an Arcana check.
Oh man, that's right up my alley.
You would guess from what you're seeing that it's almost as if they were like golems, but rather than being sort of separately animated, it's probably that there's some evil force in the area that is taking possession of them and animating them as if they were golems. So they're not inherently alive themselves. They're probably just normal dolls, but they're being forced to move by some other presence.
I see. Is there anything I can sense about this presence, or is it that's just an assumption?
It's just an assumption.
Okay. Let's see, is Detect Magic, that is an action. Okay.
Yep.
So no, I can't really back up, so I'm just going. I guess I'll just that'll be my turn.
Right now, it can't take an attack of opportunity because it's latched on to Lucharosi.
Okay, so I'm going to take just a step back to give myself a little bit of distance between that one and the one next to me.
Okay. Hellware.
Okay, so the one which we've been, which me and Lady and Phyllis have been attacking, how bad does it look? So,
It's looked like it's falling apart. If it weren't
Okay.
magically animated, it would be in pieces.
can I grapple with it?
You absolutely can.
Cool, I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna pick it up and start wrestling with it.
I just imagine.
And I trying to like bite me and stuff, and then I want to try and like rip its head off.
First, give me an athletics check,
Okay, yeah.
because athletics is an action.
Yep, there we go.
You definitely grappled it.
Yeah, cool.
And if you want to, like, use
it's
up
probably
your-
like it's probably like flying
you're breaking up.
around.
Yeah, it's flailing around in your hand. If you want to use your bonus action, I will let you make an unarmed strike.
Sorry, you go.
I was saying, if you want to use your bonus action, you can try to rip its head off by making an unarmed strike.
All right, so how do I do an unarmed strike? Do I just like roll my strength?
It's just it's an attack roll. You can make it with proficiency, and the damage is 1 plus your strength modifier.
So can we just do this? Will this work? Because that would be like a d20, and then it's got a +5, so it's 21.
Yeah, so
that'd be a hit.
Yes, you definitely hit. And you
Okay.
what's your strength modifier? +4?
5.
+5?
Yeah.
So you did 6 points of damage overall.
Mm.
You definitely heard something snap, and you managed to basically tear most of the body off of it.
Yeah.
But even though you're just like holding the head in your hand now, the head tries to bite you.
Can I throw it away?
Not at the moment. The head, however, missed. It was not able to whip around and bite you.
Okay. Can I throw it now?
You can drop it if you want.
Can I use an action thingy to throw it away?
Yes, you can use an action point certainly to throw it away.
All right, I'm gonna do
Teal
that.
looks over and he says, "You should punt it."
It might bite my foot, but all right, let's kick some dolls away. That sounds like fun. All right, so I'm gonna kick the doll away.
All right, so you use your action point. Give me an athletics roll to punt it away.
All right.
But it is going to try to bite your foot as you do it. What's your armor class?
It bit me.
So
Charlie bit me.
as you bite it, as you kick it, it bites into your foot. It is now grappling on your foot. Its little teeth dug into the skin. You take 11 points of damage from the bite. And it's now attached to you. Just the head.
Teeth out, Hellweir.
Oh.
Laces out, Dan.
All right. Well, that didn't work.
And the rest of them start advancing.
I like how we're all kind of back to back.
So another one has moved up to Hellweir. It's going to try to bite him.
Oof.
So it does 18 points of damage, and it's grappled onto you.
Oh my god. 18, you say?
Yep.
Can I use my Stone's Endurance against?
You certainly can.
All right. One. God. Oh,
Where are you at on hit points?
I just wanted to look. There we go. I reduced 12 of that damage, so now it's 6. So now I'm on 38 now.
Okay.
And this one's going to try to bite T-Hole. Missing terribly.
T-Hole definitely moves out of the way, thinking he's sly, but he's really not because it was a terrible miss.
And then this last one that's moved up is going to attempt to bite Lucharosi. And misses. Amphilis will I guess use her longsword to try to get one of the. They're both grappled. She's just going to move and attack the one that's going after T-Hole. And she hits twice. So they seem as if you're watching these two sword hits. They seem as if they're probably toughened by whatever magic animates them, because you would expect them to just fall apart. And that doesn't seem to be what's happening. Lucharosi.
All right, so first I'm going to continue my attack on the one that is currently on me.
That hits, and the wood splinters under the attack, and it drops off.
All right. And then I will continue to press the attack against this guy. Uh,
Both hit.
all right, so doing a total of 19 damage to this guy.
Yep. And
So,
you
these
can
things
tell
are
that
how big? I'm sorry, how big are these things?
about a foot tall.
All right, so you have like this 6-something foot tall celestial creature that's just like, he basically takes a knee and then starts pounding it into the ground with his fist.
You see it, you're beating it, it's sinking into the mud. Teal.
So, what do these little things mean above the dolls? And then there's 2 on Lucharosi.
That's the. I'm just marking which ones have grappled whom.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah,
right now there are
there's 2 on
2
Hellwave. Yeah.
grappling Hellweir. Yeah, 1 is grappling Lucharosi.
Well, that one's dead.
Yeah, that's right. So you can take the little fist thing off your icon, or I can do it.
So Teal's gonna move diagonally here.
This one would get an attack of opportunity because it's free to bite.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think it got you.
Surprisingly hits my armor class of 11.
So you take 9 damage, and it has latched onto your leg.
All right, so that's 36. All right, so it would have I would have dragged it, and so these are latched onto these here are latched onto Lucharosi.
How weird.
Hellwave. Hellwave.
Both of these.
Yes.
These
Yeah.
two.
Yes.
Yeah, it has like a number 2 above me, so
Oh, okay.
yeah, sure that there's 2. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see it. So that means that they're not truly within these 2 squares here.
They're really within his square, but it becomes very difficult for me to use the icons.
No, that makes sense. Shucks, I didn't think of that.
You were going to do Thunder Wave, weren't you?
I was.
You still can.
I mean, I can, but I would blow away the party too.
Hellway looks at you and he just nods.
So, I mean, if I did that, I would not only blow Hellweir away, but also Lucharosi.
And yourself, if you want to get rid of the one on you.
And I'm pretty sure, like, T-Hole doesn't think that the party would appreciate being blown into the swamp water, even if they do have dolls on top of them.
This is a strange side of T-Hole. I don't think I was expecting restraint.
Yeah.
Given what he did in the mine house.
Well, you know, T-Hole's he's a gentle soul. So being
At least
gentle,
for the moment.
he's just gonna cast Burning Hands on the well, he's gonna try to just like he'll just firebolt the doll that's on him.
Okay. That hits.
So he got 19 fire damage. That's pretty good.
And it had previously been hit with Amphilus's longsword strikes. But, I mean, you can tell it's pretty heavily damaged, but it hasn't dropped off.
Okay. I'd like to use an action point to cast another firebolt at it.
Okay.
And we get 3, right?
2.
2? Okay. Dang.
A 9 misses, however.
Shucks. Shucks. I should have used my roll. All right, next time. All right. That's my turn.
Okay. How weird. So you've got 2 of these things. One is stuck to your foot. One has crawled up a bit and is stuck to your upper thigh.
All right. I want to try and rip the one off my thigh and throw it away.
Okay. Give me an athletics check.
Cool.
That is more than enough.
Cool. And how far do I throw it? Do I have to roll again for strength to throw as far as I can?
It's another athletics check.
All right.
So that is, you managed to throw it about 40 feet.
Hell yeah.
And you hear a splash in the distance.
Mm-hmm. And I guess I'm gonna use my my action surge to rip the other one off.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll do athletics for that. Oh, it's going down. This isn't good.
That's more than enough to get it off though. They're not strong at all.
Yeah. And then I'll throw this one as well if I can. Yeah, because I use the action surge. I get double. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, you can go. You can go ahead and throw it. I'll let you do that.
Yeah, there we go.
So it also flies off, and you hear another splash.
Sweet. Cool. And that's my turn.
And you hear little splashes. Let's see. As you see, both the dolls you throw away are beelining their way back to you. The pitter patter of little feet. The one that previously attacked Lucirosi, as you hear it, there's a sucking sound as it drags itself out of the mud, and the little doll-shaped impression below it. Oh, but it misses terribly. And the one that is still on T-hole automatically hits, so you just take 9 points of damage.
Ugh.
As it digs its teeth in further.
How are you on hit points, T-hole? Luciroshi shouts to T-hole, noticing the thing latched onto him. Are you healthy enough to continue?
Yeah, I'm fine. These damn dolls. Hate these things. It's, these things are probably controlled by something evil. It may, I say this as I'm looking at the doll, and it's oh, and this might be the same. It might be controlled by the same force that controlled that damn Quaggoth. It seemed just as odd as these things.
Yeah. First, go ahead and make me a concentration check just to see if your detect magic is still up. Do you care to maintain it?
I might as well. Let's see, concentration.
Constitution, basically. It's con save. Yeah, so I'll say it's still up. You would actually guess that this is something more necromantic.
Okay. More necromantic.
Yep.
There must be a damn necromancer around here. I've run into them back in the day. They're a real burden on my empire. That's why I ordered them all executed. Clearly, we missed one.
Less talking, more fighting. Fight now, analyze later.
So as you're saying this, Lady Amphilis leans forward with her longsword and manages to skewer the doll that's on T-Hole twice, killing it. It drops from your flesh and just you hear it hit the mud below.
Thank you, milady. That was a great shot there.
Happy to do it. And it's Luciorsi's turn.
All right. I'm going to continue pounding this thing into the swamp. Damn!
Oh boy.
Nice. Is it safe to say that Luciosi is going to Pound Town?
That's 42 points of damage. You basically force this one back into the little depression in the mud, and then
wait. Does it die? Does it die?
Yes, it's dying.
Okay. So I pound it a couple more times, and then as I see it weakening, I grab it and then I toss it up into the air, and then I say a prayer to Asheros, and suddenly it bursts into flame.
So its flaming wreckage lies in the mud. And you can still
That's how
hear.
God's prayers do.
So it's T-Hole's turn.
And I see any more?
There are still two more that were thrown away by at least two more that you can see over in the distance that seem to be skittering across the mud to get back to you.
So T-Hole's going to cast a firebolt on the southern one.
Okay.
So that's a 19.
That hits.
And they'll do 9 points of damage.
So you see that it bursts into flames and continues burning this time. Plops over into the mud it was running across.
So T-Hole's going to, I guess, move back just a little bit. He wants to maintain good visibility, but is going to try to get away from the swamp water.
Okay.
Kurt, are you playing music or anything?
Yes.
Okay, because I was worried that I was like hearing children and shit. And like...
No, these are, you do begin to hear the sound of like ghostly cries coming from the trees around you. That does sound like maybe a child or multiple children. What's Hellweir doing?
So Hellweir's gonna pull out his chain, and like pretty much lay in waiting for the doll to run to him so he can chaining it up.
Okay. So you're ready in action to try to lasso it with a chain or grapple it?
No, it's gonna run at me, so I'm gonna try and grapple it and just start hog tying it pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
That means it's the doll's turn. You begin to hear, like I said, there's this crying, and you see more dolls appear as they scramble up trees nearby. Getting an echo of myself. And just next to you, in a pile of mud, you see the muddy form of a doll begin to claw its way up out of the swamp. And then the one that you tossed away comes running up to Hellweir. You try to grapple it.
Yeah. I'm at advantage, so yeah, I'll I'll roll this. Oh, do I have to just roll it once? Because I'm at advantage. Yeah, there it is.
It gives you
24.
2 numbers. So you've definitely, well, I guess I should, it can't really beat that, so I'll say you grappled it.
All right, cool. So I hog tie this doll, and it's trying to bite, and I'm just carrying it now. And
So-
I look around at all these other. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you go.
Yeah, you can do that. That is technically like a pin. So it takes another action to pin it after you've grappled it. So it will still get to try to bite you as you're wrapping it in the chain.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that hit.
Nah, just missed. Whew.
So you and it are grappled, but you can drag it around.
Okay.
We have to move out of here. These things will keep coming.
All right. Yeah. Hellway looks around and sees all the other dolls starting to come out of the swamp and out of the dirt and the trees, and he's like, he's like looking around using his ranger senses to figure out what's the next best path, and he just starts running in that direction, dragging the doll with him.
Okay, you know that the way you came, you had started to see these dolls before they moved. So you know there are dolls behind you, and you're gathering there are dolls in front of you. So there might not be a doll-free path to go.
Okay.
But you know, you could either basically go forward or come back or go back.
Yeah, so Hellway looks around and he looks at you guys and he's like, we will march forward. And he just starts just running ahead, following his track.
Okay.
And he runs deeper into the swamp.
So forward basically would be over in this direction. So you can feel free to move yourselves.
All right. There we go.
And you're dragging this one with you as you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Where'd it go? Can't see it anymore.
Well, we're still in turn, so everybody should go on their own turn.
Yep.
Okay.
The doll is going to try to get out of this grapple it's in.
Okay.
Oh, that was not good. So give me an athletics check. It was so close to getting away. You see, this doll scrambles up a tree and is just sitting there. It's not attacking you, though, at the moment.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And this one climbs up this tree. They seem to be very good at climbing. Like, they're very, very quick. And you see yet more dolls begin to climb the tree in the darkness. Like, you see this one now has climbed up onto its perch.
Mm-hmm.
Lady Amphilis, I guess, will run after you. She can make it to about there. Lucia Rosie.
All right. That one that climbed into the tree by me, am I in any danger of it trying to leap out at me while I'm running away?
It could try. It could try to get the attack of opportunity if you move.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute. So that's this guy right here?
Yes. I just had to move the one with the X on it.
All right. Yeah, that guy was a little hard to see. Well, I guess I'll use my action to disengage then, and then I will move there.
T-hole.
T-hole is just going to move for, about here. Move here. and he'll shoot a fireball at like a well-placed fireball onto the doll that is hanging off Hellweir.
A fireball?
Oh no.
The one there's not one hanging on Hellweir. He's wrapped one in a chain.
Oh, okay.
Although it's not pinned yet, so it's basically still free to attack until he pins it.
Hellweir, do you want some help?
I want this one for later.
I was hoping you were going to fireball that one and get your all of the group.
T-Hole's just gonna fireball this guy.
Fireball or firebolt? Because fireball, you could probably get the 4 that you can see.
Firebolt. Firebolt, like
yeah, bolt.
Yeah, that's within range, right? It's
easily 120 feet.
Yeah. So I was gonna hit the one in the tree with a firebolt. This guy.
Yep. Go ahead and roll.
Screw him. Ah, man. So 10.
So it shoots past it. It doesn't quite hit it. And in the background, you can see the beginning of a lovely forest fire. It's wet. It's very damp in here, so presumably it will go out.
That would probably be the best way to actually take care of these, is just start a massive forest fire.
Or it's not going to go out. It's going to get caught up in swamp gas and it'll explode.
Oh.
So Hellweir, if you want to pin this thing, you can.
Yeah, I'm going to finish pinning it. Yeah. There we go. It's done.
Let's see. I'll roll. It's very unlikely that it's gonna be able to beat that, though.
Show me that nat 20. Show me that nat 20.
No, it did not beat
it. Yeah.
So you've got it now chained up to the point where it can't maneuver to bite you, but you can see its little mouth, even though it's wood and it should be immobile. You can see the little teeth snapping away in its permanently open, fixed mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, I ignore it and I just start I'm running in the direction where the path is leading me. So another 30 feet.
So you continue to
like here?
Yeah. You continue to run, but you don't see any signs. Even the teeth on this last doll stop chattering away. So it seems as if they are not pursuing you. And in fact, you can see in the trees around you, there are still yet more of these dolls. In fact, probably dozens more of these dolls, but they seem as if they can't possibly know the path you're taking because the paths shift in these swamps, but they seem almost as if they're keeping a respectful distance of at least 30 or 40 feet. Still, some of them you can still see light from the light spell glinting off of them as you pass. Odd colored fabrics and their black little beady eyes as they watch.
All right.
Does it look in they're just watching, but
they seem to be just watching.
I'm interested to see. I'm interested to know whether or not they're watching, because we're now moving in the right direction that they want us to go. I'm telling you, there's a necromancer here, and he's using these dolls to funnel us right where he wants us. Or my name ain't T-Hole.
And if that is true, then we shall smite this necromancer and end this terrible magic.
You hear that, necromancer?
Acheros.
And like T-Hole like turns around and like shakes his fist, both of his fists in the air. It's like, there can only be one emperor.
So somebody roll a d6.
I will happily roll a d6. I am outside of that one initiative roll. I am fucking kicking ass. Unless, of course, 6 is bad in that case. Sucks to be us.
No, 6 is fine. So you're wandering around. Eventually, you just reach a part of this. It's wrong to even call it a path. It is a walkable portion of the swamp, one where you won't be sucked down into mud or have to swim a significant distance. But you reach a part where the path in front of you just ends, and you're forced to backtrack. So almost as if you wasted about an hour's worth of travel. It is probably now approaching midnight as you walk through the cold black swamp.
Is the doll witch just chained? So is it just like inanimate now? Like is it still trying to bite?
No, it appears to it's just hanging there like you've got a children's doll wrapped in chain.
Yeah, cool. I'll leave it that way.
In fact, you find that after that hour's worth of walking, the number of dolls has dwindled away to about 0. You don't see any more in the trees.
Yeah.
So roll me another d6.
I'm surprised Hellweir hasn't done something like, I don't know, spit in the thing's mouth.
Don't encourage him.
It is not an elf.
Hellweir, it's unlike you. It's unlike you to deface an enemy.
I would like this one to be a slave. And we can sell it to the hobgoblins later.
Good thinking, Hellweir. You know, I've always admired your sense of ingenuity.
I want you to do that. I want to role play out that scene where you attempt to sell a children's doll wrapped in chains to hobgoblins as a slave. So roll me another d6.
Are you saying that the hobgoblins wouldn't be into things that would be sold at Spencer's?
Yeah, I rolled a d6. Yeah.
Yep. So you press on further into the swamp. Eventually, you reach another dead end. This time, you've lost probably about 2 hours, and it's about 2 in the morning. But you are further north than you were.
Guys, I don't know if it's wise to keep moving on in the night, but I don't know where we can safely stop.
You could find a relatively dry patch and set up a camp in here. It's not impossible. Is it safe? That's a very different question.
No.
There could be rattlesnakes on every boulder.
Oh, man. Is there any way that actually I'll just roll. So Hellweir like looks around and he's like he seems like annoyed that he's not finding the right spot. He's like he looks at you two and he's like, so is there any way we can find that damn necromancer?
Well, first of all, we're not even sure if this necromantic energy that T-Hole has sensed is linked to a necromancer or if it might be just a natural part of the swamp. But regardless, if we continue to trudge through this swamp at the night, things could go badly for us, and we may not have enough of our wits and be too fatigued to meet the challenges that are still ahead.
We know that the Quagoffs are quiet. They're probably watching us. If we set camp, they will see us.
Lady Amphilis, you trudged through this swamp. What was your experience? Did you have an opportunity to make camp, and how did you handle that?
Well, we never made camp in this part of the swamp, so I can't vouch for it being safe. I know I trudged through it with my friend for a while, and we didn't encounter anything, but whether that was luck or not, I can't say.
Do the trees, does it look like you could scale any of the trees?
Oh, you absolutely could climb some of the trees. The canopy is it's pretty high overhead. It's more than 30 feet in most places. You probably couldn't climb like up and over the canopy, but you could definitely get higher than ground level.
Does it look like there's any trees like that you could climb into for the night?
Some of the trees are pretty large. You could definitely try it. I mean, that would require some sort of check to see if you fall out of the tree. But yeah, sure. There are definitely some with high enough branches that you could try that.
Well, perhaps we can camp above ground instead of on the ground. It might be safer.
I mean, you do have a little doll prisoner. So you have to decide what to do with him, because it might be able to wriggle out. But yeah, you absolutely could try to position yourself in a tree.
T-Hole, do you have the ability to create light?
I do. That's one of my specialties. Besides being emperor.
So this is another part of the conundrum. In order for us to split up watch, we would, well, at least a lot of you would have to create a source of light, which could easily give away our position. I'm the only person in the party that is capable of managing to see in the dark.
I don't want to ask your damn god if he can help us, but would you be able to use something to find that necromancer, Lucirosi?
I'm still not sure necromancer exists, but if one were to exist, I don't know that I would have any means of locating it.
So everybody make me a perception check. Lucirosi can make it with advantage for the dark vision.
Doesn't matter.
Well, T-Hole got an 18. That's high enough. As you're having this debate, you see sort of at the edge of the light what because you're sort of milling around, you think you see what might be a structure like a shack.
T-Hole kind of squints. He's like, Lucirosi, do you see a shack over there? And he starts like walking towards it.
Are you making light as you go? It is at the edge of the range of the light that you have.
I'm not making any more light. So I would like happen to follow or something.
So I mean, if you're walking all the way up to it, you don't get a better look at it is the problem, because you can't really see it in the dark. But as you get closer to it, you become more certain that at least it was a shack. It's not. Most of the roof is gone at this point, but it appears as though at one time it was a functioning shack.
So, Asheros does respond to prayers clearly, yet this is a bit too unsettling and too too much in line with what we were just discussing to be coincidence.
It does look like it's set on a fairly sturdy wood frame base that's been buried deep into the mud enough that it's dry where it is. And in fact, you pretty much, the ladder has kind of decayed to the point where it might be a little iffy to use the ladder, but you could always pull yourselves up because it's only about 5 feet off the surface of the swamp.
The shack.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's like a
It's
elevated.
elevated.
It's an elevated shack. Well, it's early morning and it's dark and it's in the swamp, so I'm not gonna really argue the point here. The king needs his quarters, so he'll just T-Hole will just like charge up.
So you pull yourself up and go inside. Inside, you see there's a fairly old bed. You probably might want to change out the mattress. It was just a pallet of straw that was wrapped in twine to hold it all together to give it some sense of form. But it's probably been sitting there decades because it is mostly just dust. Like I said, most of the roof is collapsed in. There's about a quarter of the shack that still has kind of a functioning roof. You see there is a chest of drawers and then a regular chest. Everything is pretty heavily covered in dust and dirt. And looks like it suffered a fair bit of damage just from time and water.
So you said there were drawers?
Yeah, there is a chest of drawers.
I would like to open the drawers.
Inside the drawers, you find mostly ruined clothing. Like it's all moth and bug eaten. It does appear as though something has eaten its way through the back of the chest of drawers to get into the inside and into the contents of it. Most of it looks pretty poor. Some of it may have been at least relatively nice fur at one point in time, but it is also moth and bug eaten that you probably couldn't even sell it to anyone.
Blast. Is there any indication like how long this shack has been in disarray?
Give me an investigation check. You would guess it's a couple of decades. Like this is pretty old. It's probably only held together this long because the canopy probably stops any, or at least most of the rain from getting in. So it doesn't fall apart quite as fast as it might. But it's clearly just been moldering for a very long time.
Gotcha.
There is also a chest. You also see that there's the remains of a lantern that's mostly intact.
Does the lantern look old as well?
Yeah, the lantern looks pretty old. And there doesn't even seem to be any useful oil left in it.
T-Hole calls out, "It's empty. Looks like it has been for 20 or 30 years. This is a piss poor residence hall, but I think it'll do for the night. It at least has a partially functioning roof, which is better than no roof."
Well,
You want to look at the trunk, the chest?
Sure.
So the moment you open the chest, it's not as if you're hit by a particular smell. I mean, the smell of the swamp is pretty strong and pungent, but immediately you are shaken a bit to see that there is a human skeleton inside that's sort of curled up. You also see laying around it there are a number of silver pieces. There's a dagger and a cracked bow and a single sheet of paper.
T-Hole picks up the paper and reads it, or looks at it.
It seems to be written in common, and it's a note from someone. You're not sure if it's the body that's in the chest or not, but it recounts a tale of how he says he was living in the swamp, and one day he went to the river to get fresh water and carry it back with him, and there had been a flash flood, and he saw on the banks of the river there was the dead body of a girl, and then further, just 30 or 40 feet away from that, he found there was a little child's doll. He thought about burying the girl, but he decided not to. But he figured he doesn't have much in the way of luxuries, so he picked up the doll and took it with him. He said within a couple of days, he began to just sense a presence. And then one night he woke up feeling hands around his throat and teeth on his skin. And when he woke up, there was nothing there, but somehow the doll had moved from the chest of drawers into his bed with him. And so to appease the little girl, he began carving dolls, and he began to put them in the trees so that she could play with them. And he says that the little girl's spirit was happy for a time. But every time he put up a doll, she grew tired with it in a couple days and wanted a new one. So he began to make more and more of these dolls. And eventually he just found he was getting older and he couldn't carve them fast enough. And he says that he fears that any day now she's going to turn on him and kill him. And he also says that he thinks he's seen some of the dolls moving in the trees, getting closer and closer to his house.
Mm.
He went back, he says, to try to find the body of the little girl and bury her, but it was long gone by the time he got there. So he feels that he is just going to die here alone, killed by the spirit of this angry little girl whose body he chose not to bury.
And based on the bones, like he sees the bones and then he guesses that he probably did. Yeah. No, you go on.
What do we do with that information now?
So Teal calls out. Are you guys
lost, Mike?
I
would just say maybe there's nothing to do with that information. Like, you might find a way to put the little girl's spirit to rest, but it might just be that I was letting you know why the dolls were here.
Just maybe.
Well, we are still left with the conundrum of how to keep ourselves safe. It would be unwise for us to light any more sources of light, as it would give away our position.
Well, let's stay in this house so we can at least be shielded from as many eyes as possible.
Lucirosi is fine with keeping watch for the entire night, since nobody else can see in the dark. And then also, while that's happening, Lucirosi is skilled in carpentry, so maybe he can be using that to maybe put together a doll in the hopes that keep away the spirits.
You could definitely do that. Give me a carpentry tool check.
I'm sorry, what?
The carpentry tool check. Because if it's a crappy doll, she may not like it. She may attack just because of the shoddy workmanship.
Lucirosi is confident in his carpentry abilities. So that'll be... do you want that to be intelligence, dexterity?
Whichever one you prefer. Depends on the doll you're making, I guess.
Could I use wisdom?
Sure, you can try to guess what a little girl would like.
Mm-hmm. Of course. Fucking 7. I rolled a 2. I'm gonna use an action point on that one. Fuck this. Jesus Christ!
You're making some mongoloid looking dolls.
Alright. I'm gonna use another action point. Go big or go home. Oh, okay.
So after a few false starts, you managed to create. We lost him again.
No, he lost him. Oh.
I like to think he started off. You started off making like 2 Transformers, and then you're like, wait, little girls wouldn't want Transformers. So you make this doll, and it looks pretty good. Where do you want to put it?
For now, I'll just kind of put it because I figure I'm probably outside, leaned up against the house, kind of looking around occasionally, moving around. So I'll just kind of lay it on the ground, like against the shack at some corner.
Okay.
Hellware walks into the house and he puts the doll, like the chained up doll, in the chest and then shuts it and then tries to put something heavy over the top just in case it tries to get out. And then he starts setting up to go to sleep, I guess.
Okay. So I assume you're long resting?
Yes. Yeah, I think so. Yep.
So can I get the benefit of a short rest at least?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. And then do I need to make a check against taking a level of exhaustion, or does that happen automatically?
I think you make a Constitution save. It's actually in the conditions thing. I just say exhausted. Or maybe I don't have that part of it. Yeah, go ahead and just make a Constitution save. Yes, you took a level of exhaustion.
Nope. He's like, I've had enough. I'm leaving.
So 1 level of exhaustion.
Okay.
But the night passes and nothing seems to have attacked you. When you wake up, you're sure it's daylight outside, but the canopy and just the general atmosphere still have it pretty dark. So you still couldn't see effectively without some source of light.
Was while I was on watch, was there anything unusual?
Not that you saw. You do see the occasional doll, and they seem as if they come and go when you're not looking at them. But as you watch them, they're not moving, and they never get any closer than about 40 feet.
Okay. And then does anything happen to the doll that I created?
At one point when you're not watching it, it disappears. And you do think when you notice that you hear the sound of laughter, like a child's laughter in the far distance.
So I'll say a blessing to the child in hopes that it can find some kind of rest, possibly through Asheros.
Maybe if you send some more thoughts and prayers onto the doll, so it'll work. So we can see without light now.
No, you still need light to effectively.
Oh, it still need light. Okay.
Yeah. Kurt, during the short rest, can I spend some hit die to heal?
Hi
I'm
again.
sorry, guys. My audio keeps going in and out. It's either use the Bluetooth and keep having to reset it, or use the headphones and the audio is like garbled and annoying. So sorry, Kurt. What'd you say?
Yes, you can spend hit dice.
Okay. So 10 plus 2. Also, you guys, you no longer have the extra 5 hit points.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I lost it anyway.
I went through them before. Yeah.
Well, with the aid spell, it raises your maximum hit point total. So if you were to get healing, you could heal back up to that.
Oh, okay.
So Helwe looks around and he's looking at the ranger paths and he's just like, well, I guess we go deeper. And he retrieves the doll from the chest and starts marching along a path.
So give me another d6 roll. So you definitely get a sense that as you're walking, there are several places where you almost certainly would have stumbled in to either very deep mud or quicksand that almost certainly would have trapped someone. But luckily, Hellweir is able to easily navigate past those things, being able to notice them and sidestep them. Eventually, you come to a break and you see ahead of you there is sunlight. And the smell of the stench of the decay of the swamp seems to lessen a bit as you go.
Does this area of the swamp seem familiar to you?
You're talking to
Lady, I guess.
Lady Impulse. Not necessarily. I mean, it all kind of looks the same. I know at some point we got to a place where there were breaks in the trees and we could see light again. We might be approaching really any one of the edges of the swamp.
We may not be going deeper then.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Maybe if we poked our heads out, we might get a better sense of where we were. Meanwhile, Hellweir, you're sure you were going deeper into the swamp. Like, you can sort of roughly guess that you are, from your inability to get lost, that you are roughly northeast. northwest of where you entered the swamp. Like, if you wanted to, you could, because you can't get lost, exactly backtrack your path to where you entered the swamp, which is way the hell down here.
Yeah, true.
And so, from what you've heard, you would guess you're pretty close to Bogtown.
Is there like more paths now? Like, would I be able to tell like more like that?
You could basically, the route you're on would probably take you towards in the general direction of Bogtown and out of the part of the swamp you're in, or you could backtrack and go down a different path.
I think Hellway would probably follow the foot traffic and head towards Bogtown, and maybe get some more information there. So
Okay.
Hellway just pretty much grunts at you guys and just starts walking.
So you make your way out. You notice as you're pressing forward that the amount of salt in the water below you is getting much less. And eventually you're at a spot where you could probably actually, maybe you wouldn't want to, but you emerge into what's a more traditional freshwater peat bog. And rather than the mud of the swamp and the blackened trees, you see the area of the freshwater peat bog is actually much more open. There are trees, but they're much more spread out. And rather than walking on mud, you are walking on just piles and piles of peat beneath your feet. You do see in the distance, there is what is clearly a town, and raising above the level of the swamp, you see that there are there's a constructed road that has been built to cross through the swamp that's ahead of you.
Ah, civilization.
We should possibly settle here for a while and maybe find some more information on where we're going. Even we might meet someone who was from the party, well, from the original exploration.
Perhaps. But we just spent a long way going through dangerous swamp just to come to Bogtown, when we could have just come here by a faster route without going through the swamp.
Yes. Very true. Well, what do we do?
Well, I don't know if we were dragged across the stone road or not. We may have been. I don't remember crossing over the stone road when I escaped and came back, but I was half out of my mind delirious, so I'm just assuming that we were in the southern part of the swamp below the stone road. I mean, we definitely...
Maybe we can...
That is definitely Bogtown, because we stopped there before we were waylaid.
So why did you flee to Al-Qator rather than Bogtown?
Bogtown's mostly deserted, as near as I could tell. There was only like 3 people there. They were not a force that was going to protect us.
Doesn't sound like much of a town.
Yeah, well, we didn't see anybody. I guess it's possible there's more residents there, but when we were there, we only saw the 3.
Who were the 3 residents you saw?
We didn't catch their names. I know that there was some... Seamus Holbein was talking to one guy through a door, but I don't know who specifically he was talking to. There was another guy there who, I don't know if he spoke common, or maybe he did, and he was just annoyed to see us because he wouldn't say anything to us. I gathered he spoke some other language. I didn't really trouble myself at the time to figure out what he spoke. One other person we saw just off in the distance, milling about. I don't know what he was doing or what his name was. Presumably the whoever Seamus Holbein was talking to, he seemed to be living in the biggest house in the village, so I assume he was somewhat important, but as near as I saw, he didn't even open the door to talk to Seamus.
Interesting. They must not be trustworthy living of strangers, especially living so near to the swamp.
Yeah, you'd think they would be, though, simply because, I mean, it's a fur trading town. Anyone who's coming through might have coin. And we certainly were a fairly well-appointed group. You'd think that they would think we'd be willing to buy furs.
I didn't know this was a fur town.
Well, that's what I gathered from talking to people.
It must be hard living out all this way with so few people.
Yeah, they got
Those that live here must be a tight family.
They are right on the stone road. So there's a town of Salis on the one side, maybe 20 miles away, and then 50 miles into consortium territory, there's Brixton.
Well, it can't hurt to just check the town out. The dolls in the swamp aren't going anywhere.
Yes, and whatever spirit is working to animate these dolls seems to have been pleased with the doll that I offered it. So perhaps that will provide some respite, at least for the time being.
If your doll bites me, by Ashros's hand, I will slap you.
That is fair, T-Hole. I accept that. I will give you. I will gladly give you my gauntlet for the purpose.
Actually, let me just. I didn't even think. I forgot about the doll. Okay, the doll was still there when you woke up in the morning.
Oh, good.
What are you doing with the doll? Do you have it out?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm just dragging it around. Yeah.
Through the mud?
Yeah.
It's just like, I imagine like you're dragging the doll and it's just like gets caught like on every rock and it's like flips over. Like you as you like walk near boulders, like it gets stuck and you just like rip it over. And like it's just like it hits his head like on every bump and brute and nook on the way.
Yeah, that's how I imagine it too.
Like being as careless with this doll as you possibly could.
Yeah.
So you press forward. There's as you get closer, you see that there's a wooden archway that's been built. The entire town appears as if somebody maybe tried to stack up a bunch of dirt in the middle of the swamp in order to create a somewhat level area. There's an arch in that wooden arch, and there's a sign hanging down from a single rusted chain that reads Bogtown. The town, looking at it, is mostly made up of rotting wood huts. A lot of them appear to be sinking into the ground as the dirt that they've piled up is moving back into the mud underneath of it. One house alone seems to be sort of stable and well appointed. It's in the center of the town. It's large and relatively spacious. It abuts the old but still functional typical imperial road. The only unusual thing about the road itself is that it's been clearly some degree of engineering went in to setting it higher than the rest of the swamp and building it enough of a foundation that it wouldn't sink into it. The road seems relatively straight and in pretty good working order. All you see in the village, however, apart from the huts, is one old man hunched over who's digging a short, deep trench. He regards you. His eyes are incredibly yellowed, and he looks at you, and he says nothing.
I notice what he's doing, and I walk over to the shovel and like put my arm out to like try and like to offer him to give it to me, kind of thing, so I can start digging. Does he do anything?
He's just staring at you, leaning on the shovel.
Okay. How is his?
He takes a hand and reaches up and points over and says, to the big house and says, Ilich, and then goes back to his digging.
I look over to Lady Ampharos
And Phyllis.
and say, "Is he the one that you indicated does not speak common?"
Looks like him. I'll be honest, commoners all look alike.
Oh, right. What would be the local language? Lower Imperial or?
Around here, there'd be several potential languages. Probably not Low Imperial. That's more in the Empire. But we lost him again. And I feel like we're going to lose Dustin.
I'm here.
Yeah.
But I'm get even despite having like 2 cups of coffee, I'm still falling.
You're on the nod, yeah. Yeah.
So,
Around here, the most likely languages that people might speak are probably Elmani. Keep losing them.
Ilmani? What do I know what kind of language that is?
You'd be aware of the existence of the language. I don't recall which languages you speak specifically.
I speak Ilu. I speak Ataran and Draconic.
Right. Those are pretty rare languages. So he probably doesn't speak either of those. But like the local common languages are Frenish, Elmani, and Narska are the 3 languages that local residents probably speak. But this happens to be an area right at the border of different nations. So it really could be any of those. Or, he could just hate you for some reason and not want to talk to you.
It's always possible.
Yeah. I don't know if any of my languages help. I speak Celestial and High Imperial.
Yeah, those are probably not his languages either. From the look of him, at least, he doesn't look like a High Imperial or Celestial kind of guy.
Would it like run off Giant or Dwarven or Elven?
I mean, you can certainly try any of them.
Yeah, okay. I guess I'll start trying to talk Giant to him. I'll say, hand me the shovel.
And he just narrows his yellowed eyes, looking at you, and points again, and this time gestures, moving his arm. Ilich. And then he plants the shovel in the dirt next to this trench, and turns and just walks off he's heading towards some other part of the town.
Yeah, cool. I grab his shovel and I start doing his job for him.
Okay.
So you begin digging this trench. He's got it like 4 feet deep. So it's, how far do you want to dig?
Let's get it down to 6 feet.
So you dig down 2 feet further. You dig down to the point where you're probably hitting mud from the swamp. And water is beginning to seep into the bottom of this trench.
Yeah. And I just, does he take notice or is he just walked away?
He has walked off. You're not even sure where he's going.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'll just dig the 2 feet and leave the shovel there and walk off to wherever he was pointing.
So he was pointing to the big house in the middle of the town.
Yeah. I head there.
Okay. So it is much, much bigger in a town that basically has little rotten 1-room shacks. There's this one, by those standards, this is palatial. It is probably 90 feet long, 30, 40 feet wide. It's only 1 story from what you can see, but it's got a nice pointed roof to it. So clearly a lot more effort and money went into constructing this than anybody else's homes, at least from what you can see of the town.
All right.
As you get closer, you see that all of the windows are boarded up from some of them are boarded up from the outside. The ones that aren't, you can see, are boarded up from the inside.
This is interesting.
Yeah, Hellway just bashes on the door and says, Elite, or whatever the thing said, whatever that dude said.
So you yell out, Ilich. You hear the sound of things moving, like wood being pushed out of the way. And through the door, you hear, "What do you want?"
Are you trading?
No trading in Bogtown. Get out. Leave.
Why?
I'll not be tricked by you. You leave.
Tricked. Have you been tricked before?
They have tried. They tricked me once. It cost me much tricking me, but I will not be tricked again. You leave my town.
Hellway Hellway just is going to bash the door down.
Give me an athletics check.
All right.
You bang into it, and you immediately become aware that there must be a lot of stuff stacked up against it on the other side.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I try again.
You manage to break the door. It doesn't fall in. You think maybe if you did it again, you could. If you did that again, you probably could force your way in. But the door frame is now cracked, and the door is sort of resting against all the stuff he has piled up against it. I knew it. I knew you were coming to kill me.
We have much better things to do than kill you.
You've already doomed me. You've broken my door. How am I going to save my own life now? Obviously, you are assassins sent to kill me.
Sent to this backwater swamp, I doubt it. We are here to ask questions, not kill your simple mind.
If you want to ask questions, you can ask questions through door.
No, I would rather not. I will take this door away.
If you want to come in and ask questions, I will allow it, but you must leave weapons outside.
Ugh. Why? Do you not have weapons inside?
Whether I have weapons is not question. Whether assassins have weapons is question.
Well, then I'll drag you outside and you will talk out here.
I will do no such thing. And you hear the sound of things like tables being pushed around.
I've had enough of this town. I don't think we're going to get much out of it.
If you are not assassins, then you should leave for your own good. Town has gone crazy. Town will kill you next.
What do you mean?
I mean, you will be killed if you are not on their side already. Leave. For your own good, if not for my own. Leave.
Who is they?
Who is behind, who can say? But everyone in town is gone. Everyone in town, they killed my son. They come for me every night, but I have fortified this place too well.
Oh. Every night, you say?
And they try to talk Illich out of his house, and they fail. Once I did take pity on stranger and open the door because I thought I could maybe save them. But then they burst in and we had to fight them out, and they killed my son. We managed to close the door and fortify it again, but my son did not survive his wounds. I will not be tricked again.
Who was it that attacked?
Several of the fur traders came. Nikov came. Some of the people who make our textiles came. Many people in the town have disappeared. Probably all of the ones who reappeared and came back turned out to be crazy. They go crazy. They claw at you with their hands even. They don't even have weapons sometimes.
Ugh.
But I am sure that if you hang around, they will come back. Near as I can tell, last time when my son died is when another group passed through the town. I suspect everyone came back from hiding in the swamps in order to take that group. But they only found Nikov again. And again they tried. And this time they killed my son. I am only thankful they did not infect him with whatever it is that made them go crazy. You probably do not have much time. You should leave now.
We're journeying towards the center of the swamp. Obviously, we got detoured, but we thought perhaps there'd be some supplies fill-ups here.
The center of the swamp is where crazy people come from. You do not want to go. No one goes into the swamp. You're better off just leaving. Just go to Salas, go to Watchtower, just go elsewhere. Do not trouble the swamp.
Why do you stay here then?
Well, I was planning on trying to ride out the crazy, wait for the people to die of whatever it is that has infected them. But now that they come back, I find I can't leave until I bury my son. But they are always there, always watching. So how do I get out to bury my son? I have been trying to figure out an answer to my problem.
Where would your son be?
His body is here with Illich. He died here defending me.
Where do you want it buried?
And the only place to bury him is outside the swamp.
So you wish to carry your dead son out of the swamp?
Well, I am old. I could not carry my son that far. I was hoping to find a time when I could go and get a cart, put my son's body in the cart and drag it out of here. It would be best if I could do it with some of my furs, with some of my money, so that I could leave this place and never come back and have something to start up again. I am too old to take up a new profession, but I do have my savings.
Servants?
Savings.
Or savings, right. Well, what is stopping you from leaving your house now?
They are always watching. They saw you come in, I'm sure. You are dead men walking. You probably have tarried too long already.
Well, now you barely have a door, so it is best to leave now.
I am refortifying my door. They will have to press through many, many tables. And I will nail some of them to the door frame. I will probably try to leave under cover of night some night. If only they would stop watching. If you want to be useful, go fight them. And while you fight them, I will leave.
I think you're as insane as them, old man.
Well, you do not have to find out. You can simply leave. Illich will find a way.
So what do you have in there which is of value?
Do you expect me to answer that?
Yes.
I mean, crazy people not so interested in money, of course. But that is a question Crazy Robert asks. I can pay you if you would help me get my son's body out of the swamp to bury him. I can pay you, though. Would that interest you?
I can put you on I can get your cart and put your son on them and send you on your merry way, but I will not take you out of the swamp. We are planning of going into the center.
Okay, well, I will give you 100 gold if you can get me a cart and a donkey. You should
Is there a donkey here?
You should be able to find a cart and a donkey here in the village. You just have to bring them to the front of the door. And when I hear the donkey bray, I will come out and give you money.
Okay.
Is there any idea? Do you have any idea of why they are building a trench outside?
Trench. What is trench?
And Hellware's looking around for the stable for where the donkey is and the cart.
You don't see a stable, at least not in the immediate vicinity. It might be in a different part of this little village. Oh, if you mean Holnikov was digging, that is not trench. That is my grave. He digs my grave so when he killed me, he could throw me in pit.
Very well. Hellweird like laughs because he remembers digging it. And then starts walking out towards the he's walking through the village looking for the donkey.
So make an investigation check. Yeah, you are not sure where they have this donkey.
No idea.
So you wander around for about a half an hour, seeing no sign of a donkey.
There's no noises or anything?
Not that a six can find.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Oh, guys, I'm nearing the end here.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a fair place to end it.
Like so many times, chat, it's just left join.
Yeah.
This is good a place as any. We can hopefully find a donkey next time.
Yeah, I hope so. My interest is peaked now.
So I think we're going to do this. I think we're going to do this where my game is like the first Thursday of the month.
Yep.
Works for me.
Yeah, I'm keen. This is fun.
Okay. So that's it's actually just in like 2 weeks anyway.
Yeah, right.
Well, there we go. Are we on next week for Mike thing?
Yeah.
Is Mike's
we go
on
into
next week? Yeah.
Back into McCormick's Folly next week, into the Mournlands.
Wow.
Oh man, you guys are gonna love it. Not really, but you're gonna love it.
Is there any like hints or tips we should know before going in?
Don't expect to survive.
Yeah, so maybe I'll be on again every week as soon as we all die in the Mournlands.
Oh man.
We are in the Mournlands for like 2 months.
Ugh.
There'll be more body horror.
Oh yeah. All the body horror.
Inability to heal.
No, I'm a healer. I'm useless.
Pretty much.
I'm sure.
I'm
sure
level 9.
everything- Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, you go.
I was gonna say,
I'm just gonna dump all my levels. Oh God. No, you go.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say, I'm sure everything we fight will be able to heal, so you could heal them if you need a job.
Right.
But just
Sweet.
we won't be able to.
If you can concentrate an area, then you can heal. But I don't know if anybody has the ability to concentrate.
I can. What?
Consecrate
What's that?
is a spell.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
So
But
if you
I think it's only a cleric spell.
Oh, lordy.
So yeah, like sanctifying. So if you could work out some kind of way to sanctify an area that you could
Okay, I might.
healing
Okay,
in,
that makes sense.
then that kind of you can negate that a little bit.
I feel
It's either
like,
that or dump. It's either that or dump all my levels into paladin and just blast damage and everything.
That's also another option.
Anyways,
I feel like maybe
yeah.
like 2 action points will let us heal.
Yeah.
Lordy.
Let's see. Hallow is the spell that lets you consecrate is Hallow. It is a 5th level cleric spell.
Oh man.
So
Fuck.
so as long as we can go up 9 levels and somebody takes 9 levels of cleric, we're fine.
Yeah,
Oh.
for sure.
We'll just do it like in the downtime
Oh.
while we get to the Mournland.
Oh.
Oh, I guess I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, you head off. See ya.
See you guys.
Talk to you later.
Oh, wait. So what's that website that we use on our Mike's campaign? What's that
What?
website called again?
What do you mean? Which website?
The one which has got all our characters on it.
Oh, what is that called? I can find it.
Yeah.
It is Dice Cloud.
Thank you.
So we wrapped up, just for Mike, we wrapped up on an epic failure to find a donkey.
With what?
We wrapped up on an epic failure to find a donkey.
To find a donkey?
Yes. I don't know
Yeah.
what you heard, but this guy Ilich, who's walled himself up inside his house, said he'd be willing to pay 100 gold if somebody went out into the village and found a donkey in a cart, which he was sure are out there in the village. But Hellweir's investigation did not turn up a donkey after the first 20 minutes of searching. And we were losing Dustin, so he bowed out.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm sorry too, guys. Like I'm still having audio issues, and I don't know what the fuck. It's like every time I log into this thing, getting ready to play D&D, there's some other fucking issue going on with this computer. It's driving me nuts.
I mean, better this session than next session.
Yeah, I need to get this shit straightened out.
Also,
All
just make sure we're on the same page. I assume I'm going to do the first Thursday of the month. So technically it'll be like 1 week of the Mournland and then back to me. And maybe you can find a donkey.
Sure, if that's how you want to do it.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
So 1 week we're going to be in the moorlands, the next we're going to be looking for a donkey in a swamp.
From talking to Dustin, I'm pretty sure next week we'll be in the Mournlands, and then from then on out, we'll be dead in the Mournlands and looking for donkeys.
Yeah, the Mournlands are very unforgiving, especially the way I play them.
Oh,
So-
man.
Death is not the end in the Mournlands.
So the good news is, if we epic fail in the Borderlands, I've got a lot of material ready for this game.
All right, guys. You guys have a good night.
You do.
Yeah, I gotta get to making that character, pulling him up anyways, because I'm super behind.
Yeah, you still have to level up, I think.
Anyways, I gotta go. Yeah.
Wait, I didn't hear anything that you said.
I said got a lot of leveling up to do, so I've got to get on to that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're
Okay.
level 6 in Dice Cloud.
Yeah.
Oh, you have a lot of leveling up to do. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, time to catch up.
You should take several levels of cleric, hopefully 9 levels of cleric, so you can get the Hallow spell. Because Dustin says if we can consecrate
9
areas, we
levels.
can heal.
All right.
All right,
I'll see
talk
you
to
guys
later.
later.
Levels far out.